Welcome to another episode of 8-Bit Retro Refix. This week's episode, we're taking a look at Tony's Commodore PET, which is the 4061. He reported to me and told me that he just, once upon a time, it came up with a garble screen, and then it just stopped doing anything at all. I have had a quick look at it. I had a quick look over the board. Had a look around it a little bit on the board just to see whether I could notice anything untoward in there. I've checked a few voltages around there. I've checked the voltages on the RAM chips, checked the voltages on the voltage regulators, etc. And then I noticed this chip. As you can see, on this chip, it's actually the wrong way around. You can see the little notch on the side of the chip. It's at the opposite side in comparison. When I pulled that chip out and swapped it round, sure enough, the chip socket showed that the mark should have been the other way. So I went ahead and I swapped that around, and now we're getting a garble screen. So I'll just try and flick that on for you. I'm just going to have to turn it on a couple of times because it has to warm the screen up at first, but you can hear it. Move that round a little bit so you can see. Just switch it back on. There we go. We've got a garble screen for a few seconds and then it goes away. Say it again. There you go. So that's what we're up to now at the moment. So what I've done is I've modified the 4164 DRAM chip to accommodate the 4116 in the PET. I've just come up to, just been doing jumping and piggybacking them. Looks like UA11 where I've piggybacked. And you can see we've got a slight difference on the screen just at the top there. So I'm just going to carry on and piggyback the others and see what happens. Alright, so yeah, so I've gone through them RAM chips. What I've done is created this chip here is a 4164 DRAM chip. If you just lift up pin 1, let's try and show you on the camera a little bit easier. If you lift up pin 1 and then go down to pin 8 and then lift it up and bend it right around here and solder it back to pin 9, and that will accommodate, and you'll be able to swap the 4164 chips for the 4116 RAM chips. So I think what I'm going to do is, at this point, we did get a little bit of a difference on screen and it did leave a character on screen solidly. So that just gives me a little bit of hope. But I think what I'm going to do first thing is I think I'm going to pull this board out and we're going to change all them capacitors that we can see on that board down there. And I think it's wise. It's an old board. I don't really think it's a capacitor issue, but it won't hurt it. In fact, all it'll do is help it. And then we'll pick it up again from there. So I'm just going to change all them capacitors now. I'm not going to bore you with changing all that lot at the moment. So I'm just going to change them capacitors, plug it back in, and we'll see if it makes a difference to it. I haven't got this big capacitor here. I don't think I've got this little capacitor here. I'd have to order these in if I were going to change them ones. But I want to change all these down here, and there's some more just down the side here, down the side of this where these regulators are down here. So I want to change all them, and there's one up here. So I'll pull them out, and I'm just going to see what happens after that. It might be just a case that I'm going to have to swap all that RAM out and swap it for some new RAM in there. But we'll cross that bridge after I've done the capacitors and see what happens in there. So, for some of you that don't know, this is the first Commodore PET that I've ever been into. So it is a little bit sketchy for me. I do need to keep looking up and seeing what things are and pinouts on specific chips and things like that. So it's going to take a while on this one, but at least we've got it a bit more progress. So yeah, so I'll be back after I've done them, and we'll just see what happens after that. Okay. Yeah, so here we are. So I've changed out the capacitor down here. I've changed this one here, this one here. I've not got these ones in stock here, but I've changed this one. I've changed this one, this one, this one, that one, and that's about it. So I just thought I'd change all them capacitors anyway. They needed to be changed anyway because it's been a long time in this board. If we're looking at the date codes on the chips, we're looking at 81 and some of them that's in there. So yeah, they are 40-year-old capacitors in there. So I think, other than that ROM chip being the wrong way around, it's probably blown that ROM chip anyway. So what I think I'm going to try and do is make an EEPROM for that ROM chip and see if it makes a difference. If it doesn't, then I'm going to start taking these RAM chips out one by one and replacing them. I'm going to replace them with the 4164 chips, which I showed you earlier on. These are the little chips that I made that adapter with, where you cut off pin 1, bend up pin 8 and take it across to pin 9, and then they become compatible to be able to use in the PET. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do at the moment. I have switched it back on. It does exactly the same. Nothing's changed so far. You'll be able to hear it. If I switch it on, here you go. If I drop the bonnet down on the PET, fetch up. And bring up to the screen, we're still doing the same thing. So if I switch it off, switch it on, we're still getting that screen for an instance, and nothing else. Keyboard seems to be stuck down, but we can always address that at a later date. Don't think spacebar would make a difference for it booting, but you never know, we'll try. Nah, didn't think so. So yeah, so that's where we're at the moment. Do feel like I want to order, let's just pop this lid back up again, the 2114 MOS chips that's here as well. I might see if I can look and get the proper chips for this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, obviously, because they're only 2K, and you've got 16K in here. As far as I'm aware, that's what we seem to be calculating. But yeah, we'll come back next on part 2 and have a look. So, once again, thank you very much for watching another episode of 8-Bit Retro Refix, and we'll see you in part 2. Bye!